So looking at question 19D, we're going to write our system out again. So we're going to end up with 7 over 4x plus 4 over 3y is equal to 3. I'm going to get rid of the divide by 4, divide by 3 with a times 4 times 3 or times 12. The divide by 4 and times by 4 cancel out, so I'm left with 3 times 7 is 21. X's, here the divide by 3's cancel out, so I end up with 4 times 4. So it gives me 16y, and that's equal to 36. Again, be careful with your multiplication out here, because any mistake there is going to affect your solution. So equation 2, 1/2 x minus 5 over 6y is equal to 2. Get rid of the divide by 6, divide by 2 with a times 6. So that gives me 3x minus, the 6's cancel out totally. So I end up with 5y is equal to 12. Again, double check your work here to make sure that everything has been multiplied out correctly. So I'm going to take equation 2 and I'm going to times it by 7 to match the x coefficient. So that's going to give me 21x minus 5 times 7 is negative 35y. 7 times 12 gives me 84. Okay, be careful with your multiplication. You have to make sure you multiply every part of that equation. Now at this point, I have now matched my x coefficients. I'm going to subtract this time. Okay, to be able to cancel those out, I need to subtract. When I subtract 16 minus negative, that means I'm going to add. So again, this is important that you keep track of your signs. 16 minus negative 35 is positive 51y. Subtracting these, I'm going to end up with 36 minus 84. So I'm going to end up with, what is that going to be? So it's going to be negative 48. Okay, just double checking that, negative 48. That allows me to then solve for y by dividing both sides by 51. Now they do share common factors, so I should simplify this. I should divide by 3. Divide by 3, 51 divided by 3 is going to give me 17. Okay, so they share a common factor of 3. So there's my simplified answer for y. We want to simplify this because it makes it a little bit easier to work with. So then solving for my x, I'm going to use equation 2. Now I could just easily use equation 1. There doesn't look to be much advantage using equation 1, so I'm just going to use equation 2. For y, I'm going to replace the y with negative 16 over 17, which I solved for. Okay, so again, I'm just going to highlight that where that came from. That's my solution there. So I'm going to multiply through. I'm going to change that to positive because we really need to make sure we're keeping track of the signs. So 5 times 16 is 80 over 17 is equal to 12. Okay, if we want, we can multiply the denominator instead of dealing with the fraction. Maybe we'll do that. I didn't do that in the last problem, but I'll do that in this one here. Multiply everything by 17 to get rid of the divide by 17. So that gives me 51x. 17 times 3 is 51. Plus 80 is equal to 12 times 17. That looks like it's going to be 204. Okay, so that's not, we should just maybe double check that. 204. So subtract 80 from both sides. I'm going to end up with 124 when I subtract 80 from both sides. And then again, divide by 51, so I get 124 over 51. So these share a common factor of 3, so dividing that by 3, no, do they share a common factor of 3? No, in fact, they do not share any common factors, so I can leave my solution as 124 over 51 as the value of x. Okay, so these are not very nice numbers, but we were careful with our steps, so we can be fairly confident in these solutions. So this problem, really the steps aren't any different, but the numbers are awkward. So we have to be really careful and double check our steps, make sure we're not missing out negatives, keeping track of the fractions, and then we can ensure that we get the right answer in the end.